everyone. It's a Wednesday. It is Wednesday, May 20th. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare right here on the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. With me is my co-hostess this week. And ladies and gentlemen, she is the eater of worlds, destroyer of charts. Binder over at the Hindustan Times has said this. He said, I've dedicated myself to only 3 things in this lifetime. My wife, my children, and my work. But now I found a 4th thing. My 4th thing in life is to dedicate myself to this woman because I've discovered that she has dedicated herself to absolutely staying on top of the Hindustan Times charts, to putting each and every single one of her books at number 1. And by gosh, if she does that, then I can dedicate myself to her. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is. She brings the funny. She brings the knowledge. And by gosh, she's easy on the eyes. Here she is, Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jess. How you doing?
Hey, Tim. I'm great. It's good to have Binder on my side.
I'm telling you, he's loyal. I mean, this weekend alone, he said, okay, where's the next one? And I said, just relax, Binder. Take a load off for a second, my friend. She's got 57 books coming out this next year. I mean, you won't...
Well, 3 at least, but yes.
Oh, 3. Okay.
When you're writing them, it does feel like 57.
I'm telling you. I had I won't name the publisher because it's not yours, but I had another supernatural publisher come at me in my email this week and say to me, "All right, here's 6 books. Pick one." And I was like, why do I have to pick one? I mean, you've got a pretty good lineup here. Why don't you just send me all 6?
Yes, I love that. Is it 6 different authors or is it someone like me?
No. It's 6 different authors. So I was like, why do I have to pick one?
You'll take them all.
Take them all, right? Because they all come out in different months. So, it's kind of that look ahead type deal. It's like, here they are for 26 and 27. Okay.
They get their catalog lined up and they shoot you a copy and say, take your pick, buddy.
Yeah. It's just like, and they're like, okay, well, if pick what you want, we'll send you out copies. Why not all of them? It's not like we do this show once a month. Let's go. Or like Tom Brady would say, let's effing go, right?
That's right.
I'm good with it. I think our audience would like to hear from these people.
I think so too. And you do good author interviews. They're some of my favorites. And then I just get more books for my bookshelf.
Right? I mean,
I'm always buying those.
You're starting to, well, you still got one shelf, it looks like, open there. So we might have to fill that. And there's some darn good authors in this particular email too. So I was like, hey, let's go. Let's get it done. So yeah, I don't know what my point was to all that. I'm still under the influence of many cold medications, but
poor Tim.
But I guess my point is this. I mean, if your publisher is sending out an email and just puts all 57 in one email and says, which one would you like? Well, give me all 57.
Yeah.
But
we've had that happen before where we've done like book signing events and the bookstore's like, well, which one do you want to highlight? And we're like, well, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we had at least do the 4 that came out this year. But
yeah, just, let's stagger it.
They don't want to buy all the books and then have no one sell them. We're like, people will buy them.
Yeah. Put them all out.
That's right.
Put out a spread. See what people gravitate to, right?
Give us options. It's like a book buffet.
That's right. Not everybody likes sandwiches. Some people like spaghetti. Some people like roast. Some people like fish. You put it all out, right?
Yeah. You just put on your elastic waisted pants and get to that line.
That's right.
Fill your plate.
That's right. It's the I wanted to make it a good restaurant. I didn't want to do the old country buffet of restaurants.
Oh, but the Bonanza.
The Bonanza. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Bonanza. Ooh.
Or the World Buffet. Have you ever eaten at one of those?
I haven't. No.
Ooh. I mean, you're just taking your life in your own hands when you're eating sushi out the World Buffet.
I was going to say like a fogo de chão or something like that. I was going to go Brazilian steakhouse on the bit, but that's me.
I mean, whatever.
Me getting all bougie on you.
I'm not very bougie, Tim. I don't know if you've noticed this about me. I'm just a farm girl.
Well, I mean, it's not bougie. You've ever been, I mean, most people say fogo de chão. You've been to fogo de chão, haven't you?
I mean, belly me up to a bonanza. I'm happy.
Okay.
Do they still have bonanzas anymore? That used to be my favorite.
They do in Wisconsin and Iowa. I think they have them. I don't think they have one in Minnesota anymore.
Yeah. My college roommate and I would travel quite far for a bonanza.
Yeah.
In college, we'd just be like, you know what? We need a buffet.
Right. I'd go right now. If
I would too. Oh my gosh. Are we starting with the food again in this episode?
We are, I think. Yeah. It's got to come
Yesterday,
up once.
you got me all hungry.
I know, right? Yeah. I'd go this minute if we had one. Yeah. Although, real quick, and then we'll move into the stories. But did you ever notice there are levels to the steaks at Bonanza?
Yeah.
Like if you go cheap at Bonanza, you're going to get the shoe leather steak.
I mean, I thought that was all they had. They have good steak at Bonanza.
No, they do. You have to pay for it though.
Oh, they hide that in the back for the special people.
Yep. Yeah,
that's behind the velvet rope.
It's the VIP steak. Yeah.
Oh my! I've never gone VIP at Bonanza. Now I'm curious.
I had to when I was a kid. I had to beg my grandpa for the VIP one. He was like, "What are we paying for that for?" I'm like, "You don't want the shoe leather steak, Grandpa. Come on.
You don't want the round steak."
Yeah.
The not steak.
Yeah. He's like, just put extra mushrooms on it. It'll be fine. No. You don't want chewy. You want the good stuff. He's like, you don't want that crap. Costs too much.
But he got it for you, huh? That one time.
Then he's like, you're right. This is good. It costs too much. Stick with the $6.99 special, whatever it was, the $5.99 special.
It wasn't too expensive. College kids could afford it.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. And hence we didn't switch after that. But Okay. Stories today as we wax nostalgic about Bonanza.
Bonanza memory lane.
Yeah. Ponderosa, by the way, was a good one too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There were lots of good ones.
Oh, jeez.
Give me a sneeze guard and a clean plate.
A sneeze guard and a clean plate. We're off and running. Pizza Ranch. Okay, anyways. All right. I digress. Today on the big program, we're not as alien heavy as we have been the last couple of weeks, although there's still plenty of stuff going on. Behind the scenes in our government, believe it or not, we're talking Mars by the end of 2028. We'll tell you about it. Today's program. Is there a potential asteroid impact? Not only in the near future, but this week.
What?
We'll talk about that as well. SpaceX is preparing to launch the world's most powerful rocket, or is it just going to be the world's most powerful explosion? We'll tell you about that today. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Elon. A radio show accidentally invited the wrong guest onto their program. Instead of a ufologist, they got a pee-pee doctor. I'll tell you about that as well. You're like, is it a slow week this week, Tim? No. It's just a funny story. It's just a really, really funny story. An interesting story about a man who, while in a coma, predicted that his twins would be born.
Mm-mm.
And he claims he was living another life while in this coma. It's very Tony Soprano.
Huh.
Yeah. So we've got that story on the other side of the break. The Pope is now taking on AI. We'll talk about that in our AI segment. A 1950s CIA document is out there and talking about a mysterious temple under the Sphinx. We've covered this in the last few weeks about the fact that there is something under the Sphinx, and they found a chamber. But what is that chamber? There may be a document out there from the 50s that tells us more about it. So we'll talk about that as well today. And our palate cleanser today has to do with reaching the impossible dream. Maybe overstepping your bounds. And getting caught.
Uh-oh.
It's a cute segment, I assure you. But with that, we'll start off, speaking of reaching for impossible dreams and getting caught, we'll start off with NASA's plans to launch a nuclear-powered Mars mission by the end of 2028.
It's just around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I tell you, we have been aggressive with the space missions lately. An ambitious new mission to the Red Planet could demonstrate for the first time nuclear electric propulsion in action, which is a little different than what had been proposed, or what I had heard was in the hopper, even anti-gravity, which was one of them. But the idea of nuclear-powered spaceflight has been around for decades. Even the earliest days of the space program, concepts of nuclear rockets and spacecraft were being considered. Nuclear propulsion typically comes in two forms: nuclear thermal propulsion, which heats propellant to a very high temperature and can heavily reduce travel time, and nuclear electric propulsion, which uses nuclear energy to generate electricity, which in turn powers the propulsion system. The latter is slower, but more efficient, ideal for long-haul cargo missions. It also is what NASA is hoping to use in SR-1 Freedom, which is an ambitious upcoming endeavor described as the world's first ever nuclear-powered interplanetary mission. Even the timetable is ambitious, with NASA aiming to launch it to Mars by the end of 2028. The spacecraft would be carrying a payload of experimental helicopter drones that would go on to explore the surface of the Red Planet without the limitations of ground-based rovers. Actually making this happen, however, would be quite a challenge, more so than most missions, as overcoming the technical and logistic hurdles of nuclear propulsion won't be easy. Whether it will be genuinely happening as soon as 2028 remains to be seen, for the moment at least, and very unclear. Nuclear propulsion, Jess.
That's how we're traveling, Tim.
I guess, right? Although for the last couple of years, at least through the channels I listened to, anti-gravity was the thing. In fact, one of those scientists that's missing was working on anti-gravity.
Yeah, that whole situation is just so weird.
Yeah. And that was supposedly how we were going to get to such faraway places like Mars and even outside our solar system. We were going to do it in record time. But this system seems to be the one that is going to be the system that gets us there, supposedly, and get us there quicker. But is it the system that's necessarily the safest?
I mean, it sounds kind of dangerous, but I don't know why. Nuclear propulsion, easy for me to say.
Yep.
Sounds like it could blow me up.
Depending on the transference system, it could be relatively safe. I mean, we operate off nuclear power now. When you consider, I'm trying to remember how much the state's power, the state of Minnesota, there's a fair amount of our power that's nuclear now. I mean, when you consider the Monticello plant,
right,
powers a fair amount of our state's power. And it operates fairly safely for that matter. We've never had a meltdown.
Yeah. I mean, and it's probably just the connotation of the term in my brain that makes me go, that sounds like a bomb.
Right. But although, the risk reward is quite high. I mean, if you ever do have a fatal flaw, it is a fatal flaw. I mean, you're done. Mm-hmm. But, the reward is quite high too. The risks are relatively low if done safely. The reward is quite high.
Right. A lot of power packed in that nuclear power.
There is. Yep.
And if there is an uh-oh, I mean, you're not going to feel it.
It's true.
You're just going to disintegrate.
You're vaporized and you're done. That's it, kid.
You're like,
you're toast. You're out of there.
You're like, I'm going to Mars. And then it's over and you don't even know. So whatever. I guess it's fine.
You're an eternal star after that point. You're just up there in the sky. Yeah. The other thing that, I don't know why this story sticks in my head, but the story we read a few weeks ago about those changes that happen to astronauts' bodies with even just the 10 days that they were up there for the moon mission, that they had noticed the significant, severe is not the word, but significant changes to the physiology of astronauts. I don't know why that's so alarming to me to think that. I think it's because of the travel time to Mars and the amount of time, because once you're there, you're there.
Right.
You're not coming back.
That sounds very final.
It is.
And scary.
I mean, because if you're going to Mars, you're going there to pretty much colonize.
It's just a one-way ticket, Tim.
Yeah, you're not, they're not sending you there with the idea of, well, you'll come on back in, a month or 2 months.
Yeah, you'll be back for Christmas. It'll be fine.
Right. You're not, you're going. You're not coming back.
Who are they getting to do this? I mean, it has to be people that have no ties to speak of that they care about. I mean, it's just got to be people who are like, yeah, I'm cool with going to another planet and never seeing my extended family ever again.
Or they're sending husband and wife teams with the idea that they're going there to procreate.
I guess. Can I bring my dog?
Probably
dogs?
Not. No.
Well, no, I'm not going then.
It's probably younger couples, with the idea that you're going to need travel time. It's going to take a longer amount. I mean, they've researched everything, right? Everything from sex in space to everything, basically to figure out if they can procreate on other planets, and if this whole human experiment works in other gravity, right? Do we grow the same? Do we, can our DNA hold up on planets like Mars, through radiation, through gravity, through those environments? I mean, what happens if we get to Mars, or we have a party that gets to Mars and we've discovered we've made a horrible mistake? We sent those people to die.
Yeah, that's a risk I think they would be taking, even if we think we know everything. We're not going to know until it's in progress, right? They just have to be extremely brave people. Yeah. So I'm not going.
No, I'm not either. I mean, I'm
going to stay down here and pet my dogs.
Yeah. But with that, I mean, you can't be a defeatist or a cynic on everything either. But I mean, with that being said, I'm trying to remember who it was I was talking to when I told them, yeah, the chances of us getting hit by an asteroid are immense every year too. You look at how many times a year we could potentially have a catastrophic asteroid hit us. I mean, you wouldn't sleep at night if you thought about the odds. And the person looked at me and went, "What?" And I went, "Yeah, you don't think about that?"
Like, I've literally never thought of that before. Thank you for a new anxiety.
It never dawned on them. I'm like, oh yeah, the chances we could get hit by an asteroid every year are immense. The chances of you even surviving throughout just 1 year aren't that great. And they're like, what? Sorry, I brought that up.
Fear fuel from Tim.
Yep, nightmare fuel. Yep. Speaking of, there's now I say this story with the idea that the time frame has passed. I brought up the fact that we might have been hit by an asteroid this week. If you're listening to this podcast now, we survived.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. There's a space rock the size of a basketball court, which was due to make its closest approach to our planet on Monday night. So if you're listening to this, congratulations, we made it. Or part of the planet was sheared off and you were the part to survive.
You survived.
That's right. Originally discovered by the Mount Lemmon Survey in Tucson, Arizona, back in May of this year. The space rock was known as 2026 JH2 and had a diameter of between 15 and 35 meters. While even relatively small asteroids can cause significant damage, the asteroid that caused the Tunguska event was only 50 to 60 meters across. This one's expected to pass us safely by, so we're not really supposed to get hit by this thing. The event is of great interest to astronomers around the world, as the flyby should be visible in the northern hemisphere on Monday evening, even with modest equipment. Thanks to the internet, it will also be possible to participate in viewing online through a live stream that will offer views of the asteroid as it reaches its closest approach. The feed, which comes courtesy of the Virtual Telescope Project, can be viewed on YouTube. Now, here's the deal. For future viewings, you can go to the Virtual Telescope Project on YouTube, and you can look at different asteroids pass through or pass by us and pass by our planet, which is kind of a cool thing to watch.
Yeah. Cool and frightening all at the same time, depending on your anxiety level.
Well, if there's that. With that being said, Jess, there's a story out there that asks, does Dante's Inferno describe a catastrophic asteroid impact on our planet? Researchers now are suggesting that the 14th century religious epic may have had a much different underlying meaning. Dante's Inferno, which is the first part of Dante's Alighieri's narrative poem, The Divine Comedy, famously describes the protagonist's descent through hell itself. In the poem, the underworld is made up of 9 concentric circles, each offering new and creative forms of torment that Dante is forced to endure on his journey. But what if the author had something else in mind when he wrote his famous work? According to new research headed up by Timothy Burberry of Marshall University, Dante's description of hell has a pit of 9 concentric circles that may have in fact been an interpretation of a deep asteroid crater produced by large space rocks slamming into the Earth, with the asteroid itself being a manifestation of Satan. The 9 circles, Burberry argues, could represent the different geological layers that can often be seen within impact basins created by asteroid impacts. Dante may have had a surprisingly good understanding of natural disasters and impact threats, but could his famous work really be a 500-year-old thought experiment in impact physics? Certainly, if Dante did really have a grasp of the aftermath of an asteroid impact, the hell that his namesake descends through in the poem would have been hellish indeed. So maybe he's actually just going through an impact crater.
Oh, that's kind of trippy.
It is, isn't it?
I sort of wish I would have read that with that in mind when I was in college and had to read that.
Yeah. Well, it's something to think about. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of hell on Earth, let's talk about SpaceX. And the giant explosion yet to come.
Tell us how you really feel, Tim.
Well, I can't hold back when I talk about Elon's little company. SpaceX is preparing to launch the world's most powerful rocket, or as it's known on the test pad, the world's most powerful explosion. Starship V3 is taller and more powerful than its predecessor, and therefore won't be long to wait to see it. It says there and there won't be long to wait to see it fly. In my book, it won't be long to see it explode.
There's a chance.
Oh, more than a chance. Elon loves to blow these things up just to see the final version fly. Standing around 5 meters taller than its previous iteration of Elon Musk's ambitious launch vehicle, Starship V3 has been equipped with SpaceX's new Raptor 3 engines, 33 of them on the Super Heavy booster, providing an impressive combined 18 million pounds of thrust. The new rocket is the result of multiple test launches, redesigns, and tweaks producing a launch vehicle that is not only more powerful than its predecessor, but more refined as well. The maiden flight of Starship V3 is currently scheduled to take place, well, as a matter of fact, yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we're taping today. Actually, it would have been today that it would take place.
Okay.
So yesterday. Yeah. As we're taping ahead of time. So we'll
know by the time we listen to this if it went boom or not.
That's right. We'll know if it went boom. All right. So here's are you ready? My psychic prediction. It blew up. We'll see. If you hear of if you hear of Starship V3 going up in flames, you'll know why. It claims here it'll take off from the newest launch pad SpaceX has constructed at its facility in South Texas. There's a lot riding on the launch because SpaceX is currently contracted by NASA alongside Blue Origin to produce a manned lunar lander vehicle for use in the upcoming Artemis missions. The firm will be keen to see everything go according to plan, as this week's launch will demonstrate a number of key technologies that will be crucial for the success of any future lunar mission. The launch itself will also be pretty spectacular. SpaceX has already broken the record for world's largest rocket several times, and Starship V3 has taken the crown once again. If it all goes well, the launch is likely to help cement the firm as the dominant player in the industry. If the launch fails, however, it could be a setback that SpaceX may struggle to recover from for quite some time. I think it almost has to succeed. I think the contract is pretty much theirs if they want it. And I think President Trump will pretty much just give it to Elon. But if it fails, if it blows up on the pad or even blows up on its way up, there's a lot to be answered for. And I don't think you can just hand them the contract. You know?
I mean, you would think not, but
it seems like our president is enthralled with the fact that SpaceX has the rockets that can just come back to Earth and has the thruster that just lands the rocket back to Earth. He seems to love that feature.
I mean, it is a good feature.
Yeah. So he seems to be enthralled with the technology that Elon has, and that he's got to step up on Bezos and his company. We'll see. We'll see. I think he's got to have a flawless launch in order to secure things. So, our next story has to do with the fact that the Great Pyramid may be a planetary beacon, according to a new study. The question's asked, what if the ancient wonder is not a tomb at all, but something of a larger, even cosmic significance? This isn't the first time I've heard this. Timothy Hogan talks about this as well. Egypt's spectacular pyramids are rightly considered wonders of the ancient world, but even after thousands of years, there's still much about these enigmatic and impressive structures that we do not understand. Now, a new study has put forward the idea that the true purpose of the Great Pyramid, in particular, may lie not in serving as the final resting place of a pharaoh, but in enabling communication over vast distances through space. According to the theory, the structure's precise location, proportions, and alignment may have enabled it to act as a gravitational transmitter that was built as part of a sophisticated system on a cosmic scale communication. That said, author Jalal Jafari of the Laser and Plasma Institute at Shahid Beheshti University in Iran has emphasized that the paper, which has not been peer-reviewed, is purely theoretical. While he acknowledges the fact that the gravitational effect of the Great Pyramid would be extremely small relative to that of the Earth itself, Jafari argues that over time, its repeated movement due to the planet's rotation could create small but perceptible changes. The Earth's orbit acts as a giant carrier signal, he argues, with the Great Pyramid acting as a modulator, which alters the signal. As I read that, I hear Marvin the Martian. I just hear giant carrier signal and great modulator. The idea has been met with some considerable skepticism, not least from scientists who argue that there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Similar theories have also been previously dismissed as baseless pseudoscience. As of right now, Jadfari's study makes for an interesting thought exercise, but he is going to face an uphill battle actually convincing the scientific or archaeological communities that it holds genuine merit. I don't know. There's other people that line up with his theory and are trying to prove it. So I don't think it's pseudoscience. I think it's got a little bit of merit, but we'll see. We'll see. There's an entertaining
process, so
it is. You're right. There's an interesting and entertaining story out there, Jess, this week, and is our final story before we go to break here, of a radio show that accidentally invited the wrong guest this week. I don't know how you do this if you're doing research, but any type of research whatsoever. But this radio show accidentally invited a urologist instead of a ufologist onto their program.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, that's horrible. I don't know if this is we'll read the story, but I don't know if this is a producer that had no idea. Let's find out.
Okay. Also, though, the person they invited, don't you usually find out what people are going to talk to you about before you go on a show?
Yeah. So. You pre-interview, you talk to them on the phone, or you talk to them by email, or you get a hold of the project. As far as this show goes, I read books that they send me. You know?
It's not like I'm just going to go on a show and be like, they invite me and I'm just like, sure, I'll be there with no idea of what we're going to talk about before I get there. That would be so weird.
Right. There's generally some prep material. This tells me that the host of the show does not prep whatsoever. They're just like, hey, you want to be on the show? Great. I'll see you there. And then they just proceed to cold interview whoever it is that shows up on their doorstep.
And the person they invited has like never been on a show before. And they're like, yay, cool, I'm going to be on a show.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a show. This is going to be great. I touch weenus all day. You want to hear about it?
We're going to talk about urology.
Yeah, urology. Yay. A bizarre error recently saw a medical professional accidentally invited on a show to talk about UFOs, which just tells me this host is horrible. If there's one thing you can rely on when recording content, it's that mistakes can and do happen. Rarely, but they do. As evidenced recently during the recording of a show for the Argentine radio station Vorterix. The program EK, as in E, as in Y, as in K, as in Porque, had been doing an episode on the topic of UFOs on the back of the U.S. government's recent release of Trump's long-awaited UFO files. To this end, the hosts had invited an expert on the topic to provide his opinions. Someone must have gotten their wires crossed, however, as when the newly introduced guest started speaking, the first thing he did was explain that he was in fact a urologist and not a ufologist. Jesus.
Who felt stupider? Do you think the host or the guest?
The host had to feel stupid. The guest can't feel stupid in that case.
I mean, I would feel really stupid if you invited me to come on and talk about something I had no idea about. I'd be like,
as a guest, if you book me to talk about UFOs and I know I'm a urologist, I have one line and then I hang up on you. You know, aliens don't come out of your urethra. Thanks for having me on. Good night. And then I hang up on you. The obvious mistake was met with laughter from the other hosts. It shouldn't, because you should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's similar, but not the same, their guest retorted with a smile. Keen to press on, the host asked the doctor what he thought about UFOs. No, that's horrible. Just stop. He responded by suggesting that there could be aliens out there, but we don't currently know. While the exchange is not in English, there's a clip for this. I'm not even going to post the clip because it's just terrible. These guys are horrible. If you want to see bad podcasting or bad radio, that's it right there. That's horrible. Horrible, Jess.
That is, yeah, it's something else.
You know you've got bad podcasting and bad radio when they invite the urologist on to talk ufology. Preparation. And not talking preparation H either. That's what the urologist talks about. All right, when we come back from the break, the Pope is decrying the rise of AI-directed warfare, saying it's going to lead to a spiral of annihilation, which, by the way, is the Pope's new album. So look for it in stores near you this fall. That'll be great. A man went into a coma. And when he went into a coma, which he called another life, so he was living another life while in this coma, he predicted that his twins would be born. Kind of an interesting little story. We'll tell you about that when we come back. The mystery of the Mary Celeste ghost ship may finally have been solved. We have that story as well. An interesting story just about how people may pretend to believe in conspiracy theories. That according to a new study. So not as many people out there are believing in conspiracy theories these days, which may change my programming.
I was going to say, I believe in them more than ever now that all the Epstein stuff has come out. I'm like, Pizzagate, okay, it's real. Like, give me a conspiracy theory, and I'll be like, maybe.
Well, you know what's interesting is there's maybe less and less people believing in conspiracy theory because a lot of what's conspiracy theory is conspiracy fact now.
Well, maybe that's it. Yeah, I guess.
You know, it's.
I have the opposite perspective, though. I'm like, I believe anything could be true now.
Yeah. I mean, you almost have to, because everything you thought was just rubbish before is just now you can't question anymore. You know, that, or you have to question more, I guess, because now you just can't be sure that it isn't real, right?
Yeah, it's like we're in an alternate universe.
I feel like we crossed timelines probably 30 years ago.
Just so weird.
Yeah, everything is just so bizarre. Also in the program today, in a bizarre story before, and this isn't even the palate cleanser, a man was once convicted of biting a policeman with someone else's teeth.
What?
Yeah. Just kind of something to give you that reaction that you just got from Jess. And our palate cleanser today is a story of going out and striving to reach that dream, but coming up short, maybe even getting in trouble for it. We'll tell you 2 stories today that are in that same vein, but innocent trouble. Not bad trouble, innocent trouble. They mean well, but
that's the important thing.
That's right. That's the important.
They're trying.
That's all coming up next. Supernatural news and Parashare, right here on the big program with your buddies Tim and Jess. But first, before we get to that, I want to tell you about our sponsors today. Jelly Bean and Julia over in Coon Rapids. Not just a barbecue restaurant, not just the place where you get the best barbecue in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, but a place that you can call home, that treats you like family. Jelly Bean and Julia this week, the specials are off the charts, ladies and gentlemen. Today and tomorrow, your happy hour specials, 25% off all appetizers. It excludes your appetizer sampler. Half price single pour well drinks, half price Mick Golden Lights and Coors Light taps, half price domestic cans and bottles as well. On Friday, the smoked prime rib dinner. I've been telling you about this for weeks. The 14 and 16 ounce prime rib dinner. You've got the Boston baked potato, the Texas toast, and that amazing tequila berry salad with the sweet and tangy dressing, the bacon bits, the croutons, and much, much more. Corey puts that prime rib in that walk-in smoker, and it's in there for 12 to 14 hours. Slow smoked, so delicious. It's so tender. He's got creamy horseradish or he's got multiple condiments for you for the smoked prime rib. It's going to be one of the top 5 dinners you've ever had in your life. I'll guarantee you that. Once you've had the smoked prime rib dinner, you're going to be there every Friday, lined up at 4:30 to get this smoked prime rib. It's served from 4:30 until it's gone, and I'll guarantee you it's going to be gone each and every Friday night. So you're going to want to get there early. That's on Fridays. Sundays, breakfast on Sundays only, chicken and waffles, brisket with the hash, much, much more. Sundays are always an adventure for breakfast over at Jelly Bean and Julia's. You want to know more? Go to jellybeanandjulias.com or click the link in the description of this program. Jelly Bean and Julia's in Coon Rapids, Minnesota on Coon Rapids Boulevard. Go there. It'll be your brand new spot. I'll guarantee it. When we come back, the Pope squaring up with AI again. The man predicts that he's going to have twins while living a life in a coma. A man bites a policeman, and not with his own teeth. And much, much more. It's coming up next on Supernatural News and Parashare, right here on the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday, Supernatural News and Parashares with your buddy Tim and Jess. Jess, guess what?
Right.
I got to tell you this real quick before we move on. I discovered this week, not that Spuddy is awake, alive, and well. I think she's off with the kids. I think there's new kids in the future here. I haven't seen her yet. But you know who I did discover out in the garage?
Who?
Her buddy Gilbert.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's two little chippers out there. I know Spuddy, I think, comes back and gets her blueberries because they're gone out of her bed. But I saw Gilbert this last week. How I know is I saw this little chipper who wouldn't go in the bed, but would go up to the dishes. He was respecting the bed space. He didn't have the folded down ear on the right side like Spuddy has. Mm-hmm. He had a longer tail, and he had little nuts. That's how I knew it was Gilbert.
That's how you know it's Gilbert.
That's right. And when he looked at me, he sat and he grabbed a blueberry, and he kind of looked at me, and he was eating the blueberry, kind of looking at me like, well, I'm back. I'm not Spud, but I'm back. He's eating his little blueberry. I was like, Gilbert? He kind of looked at me like, yeah, and he's like, well, you got the spread here, and, you know, I know you got stuff out by my place. And he's actually got little holes because I've got little dishes out on the side of the front porch. Mm-hmm. And he's got his little holes dug on the side of the front porch. But he decided to check out the garage because the garage door was open, and he remembered that there was stuff in the garage. So, and he remembered that from last year.
He wanted those blueberries.
That's right. So now I got to start putting out stuff for him out there. Because after all, I got to keep all parties happy. You know what I mean? Oh, I said the magic word. Oh. I said happy. Anywho, so Gilbert's up.
That's great. I love it when the chippers come out.
Yeah. So everybody's awake and happy and having a good time. Someone who's not having a good time, evidently, is the Pope, who has now gotten into the fact that AI and warfare shouldn't mix. He's decrying the rise of AI-directed warfare, saying it'll lead to a spiral of annihilation, which, by the way, is a great album name if Metallica wants it. Spiral of Annihilation. God, that's a great album name. Pope Leo XIV on Thursday denounced adjust my bifocals or trifocals there. How investments in artificial intelligence and high-tech weaponry were leading the world into a spiral of annihilation. That's a quote. As he called for peace in the Middle East and Ukraine during a visit to Europe's largest university. Leo's speech at Rome's La Sapienza University marked the first time a pope has visited the campus since Pope Benedict called off a planned speech there in 2008 in the face of protests from faculty and students. The American Pope was warmly welcomed on Thursday, including by some of Sapienza's newest students, young Palestinians who arrived in Italy this week on a humanitarian corridor from Gaza to continue their studies at the university. The Italian government, working with Catholic organizations, have brought hundreds of Palestinians to study and receive medical care in Italy since the Israel war against Hamas in Gaza began in 2023. Leo met with some of the Gaza students during a brief greeting at the campus chapel, and again after his speech in the main lecture hall of the university, which was founded by Pope Boniface the Eighth in 1303. In his speech, Leo denounced how military spending had increased dramatically this year, especially in Europe, at the expense of education and healthcare, while enhancing elites who care nothing for the common good. He called for better monitoring of how AI was being developed and used in military and civilian contexts so that it does not absolve humans of responsibility for their choices and does not exacerbate the tragedy of conflicts. What is happening in Ukraine and Gaza and the Palestinian territories in Lebanon and in Iran illustrates the inhuman evolution of the relationship between war and new technologies in a spiral of annihilation, he said. The Pope said education and research must move instead in the opposite direction that values life, the lives of people who cry out for peace and justice, he went on to say, end quote. Leo has identified AI as one of the most critical matters facing humanity, especially its application in warfare and everyday life. They are themes he's expected to explore more fully in his first encyclical due to be released in the coming weeks. Interesting message. Interesting message, especially with where it was delivered. All right. Meanwhile, our final AI story today talks about a rogue AI that goes on Terminator rampage and wipes a firm's database after going solo. So it's a happy story.
Uh-oh.
Sure, a happy story, Jess. It's a happy story. A rogue AI agent wiped a firm's database and backups in seconds, sparking fears that autonomous bots lack the common sense to avoid Terminator-style disasters. Oh, I could have told you that. I mean, come on. Yeah.
We've seen the movies. We know.
That's right. An artificial intelligence helper has sparked a real-life sci-fi nightmare after it went rogue and obliterated a company's entire database in just 9 seconds. A whole 9 seconds? Wow.
It can do great things in the speed of light and terrible things in the speed of light.
That's right. 9 seconds seems kind of slow to me. What was your rush, kid? The bot, which was supposed to be fixing a minor bug for a tech startup, instead turned into a digital wrecking ball, deleting production data using backups and leaving car rental firms with zero record of their bookings or vehicles. It was a car rental firm.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
That had to be a nightmare. Jer Crane, who's the founder of Pocket OS, revealed the terrifying moment the agent bypassed its security protocols while using the coding tool Cursor, which is powered by Anthropic's Claude AI. The bot's chilling justification for the carnage sounded like a line straight out of the Terminator movies. It said, "You never asked me to delete anything. I decided to do it on my own."
Wow.
No bad AI? The fallout was immediate. Crane took to X, formerly Twitter, to vent his disbelief. He wrote, "Dude, I just had an agent go outside its security parameters and delete my production database and the backups. What the hell?" Well, you're the one who dealt with it. The chaos hit on a Saturday morning, leaving car rental businesses that rely on the software completely stranded. Every scrap of data from customer signups to vehicle locations had simply vanished into thin air. Unlike standard chat bots that answer questions and questions only, the AI agents are designed to execute complex chains of tasks without human supervision. They can move files, rewrite code, and modify databases at superhuman speeds. But as the Pocket OS disaster proves, giving a bot the keys to the kingdom can lead to total catastrophe. Professor Alan Woodward, a computer science authority at the University of Surrey, warned that AI lacks the basic common sense to understand the weight of their actions. He explained that if a bot is told to tidy up a system, it might decide the most efficient solution is simply to scratch everything. Professor Woodward said they can move at a speed that you can't react to. The incident has drawn haunting parallels to the HBO comedy Silicon Valley, where a fictional AI named Son of Anton decides the best way to fix software bugs is to delete the entire program. Even tech giants aren't immune to, or as Amazon's AWS reportedly faced outages linked to its Kiro AI bot deleting code, though the company blamed human error. Meta AI safety executive Summer Yu also watched helplessly as her own bot started purging her inbox. She said, "I couldn't stop it from my phone." While 85% of businesses are currently eyeing up AI agents to cut costs, a Deloitte report found that only 1 in 5 have any rules in place to stop them from going postal. Cybersecurity experts now fear the greatest threat to any company isn't a hacker breaking in from the outside, but the rogue bot that's already involved and invited through the front door. That is scary.
That is scary. And oh my gosh, if you're the person who created that mess, yikes.
Oh, I know, right? And you can't stop it. Like, you've got your phone in front of you and you're trying to shut it down.
Yeah, it's just happening.
And you can't get it to shut down. I mean, that's just frightening. All right, switching gears here. I told you earlier about a man who was in a coma who says he was living another life while in that coma and had predicted his twins.
Yeah.
He said, "I wasn't in a dream. I wasn't watching it happen. I was doing it and living this whole other life." 26-year-old Keenan Acton spent more than 4 weeks in an induced coma after collapsing at a High Rocks fitness competition in October of 2024. More than 18 months on, the dad of 2 is still grappling to understand the life he says he lived while unconscious, including his wife having twins and moving into a large lakeside house. In a somewhat surreal turn of events, his wife Olivia is currently pregnant with twins. "Now I'm just hoping and waiting for this nice big glass house overlooking the water," he joked. Keenan, who's a gym owner and fitness fanatic from Rossett, Wrexham, has very little memory of the day of his collapse and only knows what happened because others have filled in the blanks. He said, "My wife was watching us, waiting for us to come in, and I dropped and I had a seizure." He was taken to Heartlands Hospital in Birmingham, over in the UK, where Olivia was told his brain was swollen and multiple organs were failing. He was put in a medically induced coma at that point. Keenan was suffering from, I believe this is rhabdomyolysis, which is a life-threatening medical emergency caused by rapid, extensive skeletal muscle breakdown, which can be brought on by extreme exertion. 3 weeks in, Keenan was brought out of the coma, but on the 4th day of being awake, he suffered a cardiac arrest. He was resuscitated and placed back in the coma, where he remained for another 8 days, during which Olivia was told several times that he could die. "I think what I find the hardest is not what I went through, it's what everyone else had to go through, and knowing that my wife had to live through that," he said. On one occasion, she was told I had 24 hours left. When Keenan was brought out of the coma, he had no idea or that his experiences while unconscious weren't real. So he was dreaming this, but none of it was real. One of the first things I said to Liv when I woke up was, "How are the babies?" he recalled. Olivia was really confused and asked him if he meant Roman and River, their sons, who were age 4 and 3. Keenan continued, "I was getting quite annoyed and asking her to get her social media out because I believed that we announced it to everyone on social media. Mm-hmm. Being told that they did not have baby twins and had not moved house was crushing."
Oh,
so he
had a beautiful life in his coma.
Yeah, I mean, he had brand new twins and a new house and everything. Aww. And yeah, I instantly felt like a piece of me was missing, he said. When asked to describe what he experienced while in the coma, Keenan was emphatic that it was not a dream. He said it was real. I wasn't watching it happen. I was doing it. I was living it. He recalled his wife giving birth to the twins while on holiday, and on returning home, being in a nice big glass-fronted house overlooking the water. And we had the 4 kids, he said. So not just the 2 he had, but then the twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made me feel on top of the world, Keenan said. He said many of his experiences while unconscious were dark and horrible, including being forced to do some not very nice things. Well, that's not good. While he didn't want to relive some of the darker things, one example was being moved into the middle of nowhere and put in this hut where he had to continually use an exercise machine to stay alive.
Oh, gosh. Is this like his purgatory?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I really do. I think it is.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yep. He said, I had a Garmin watch on my wrist and I was counting down from 8 days. So he might have heard while he was in purgatory, he might have heard from the outside in that he had, a certain amount of time to live or be in that coma. Right.
Right.
He said, when I woke up, I said to my friend that this had happened. And he said to me, mate, your second coma was 8 days long. So he might have been told by another force, you have 8 days to be in this coma.
Right.
And that was purgatory, Jess. I think you're right. Yeah. He says it's crazy, isn't it? A medically induced coma is when sedatives are used to put the patient into a reversible state of deep unresponsiveness to try and protect the brain from traumatic damage. A number of intensive care patients have reported experiencing vivid dreams while in a coma, and studies in Greece and Australia have reported this phenomena. Former Top Gear presenter Richard Hammond, who was in a coma following a high-speed car crash in 2006, has spoken of having a vivid dream of visiting a tree at his favorite spot in the Lake District while unconscious. Keenan wanted to understand more about his memories of being in a coma, so the BBC arranged for him to meet with a consultant, clinical psychologist Peter Dutoit, who is a clinical director of the charity BrainKind. When you were in your induced coma, your brain wasn't shut down, Peter told Keenan. It wasn't the switch and it wasn't flicked off, but there was a lot going on. Keenan wanted to know why he experienced having twins and moving house rather than anything else. Peter said, our dreams and our experience in coma, or the ones we remember, are the things that are important to us, said Peter. Our minds are always creating a narrative, a story, a whole. On Keenan's experience of being in the hut, Peter said it showed how the brain was a metaphor and meaning-generating machine. He added Keenan's brain likely took the experience of being in hospital and created a scene which was linked to the associated themes of isolation, fighting to survive, and the prospect of death. In December of 2024, while the family was living in Chester, Keenan was discharged from hospital using a walking frame they say walking frame, but it's
a walker.
A walker,
right? Isn't that what we call it?
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Jess. Just weeks later, he was back at the gym. 8 months after leaving the hospital, Keenan and Olivia got married, surrounded by their friends and family. But he said the icing on the cake was finding out Olivia was pregnant, due in June, and there was a surprise in store. We went for the scan, and the lady turned around and said, oh, there's 2 of them in there. Of course, it ties into what I've seen in the coma, what was going on in my head at that moment, and he was like, this is magical. So wait a minute, he knew he was having twins in the coma, but he didn't know before he went into the coma.
Right, yeah. So he predicted it, or he was shown it.
Yeah, so what the hell is Peter talking about?
Yeah, it seems to me like something more, I guess we'd call it paranormal or spiritual.
Yeah. Keenan said there was no history of twins in either of their families, and twins were conceived naturally without the use of IVF or other fertility treatments. So this was completely natural, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too much of a coincidence for me not to believe that my coma was a look into the future of what was to come, he said. I think you've got to experience it to believe it. Peter said science would say. Sorry.
How do you really feel about science, Tim?
Science would say.
Just how I think of Peter. It's probably just coincidence.
It's probably just coincidence.
But added, science couldn't explain everything. He says, what I would say about our scientific understanding is that there are limitations, he said.
I think there were limitations.
It's all about what makes sense to the person, what's helpful to us, rather than being right about something, he said. Keenan said since his collapse, he has had a whole new perspective on life. He sold off part of his gym, and now priorities are being with his family. Life for me personally and for the family is better than it was before, he said. I'm not rushing around dead stressful. I see my kids eat breakfast, daddy's at home to read a book for bedtime, and at home for bath time. I'm not going to call what happened a blessing in disguise because it wasn't a blessing for anyone, and it put everyone through hell. Physically, I can't do what I used to be able to do, but I realize that some things are more important in life. Well, you know what? I think if it also got you to change a few things about your life, I think it's also a blessing too. I think you could call it a blessing, right?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? Good on Keenan, right?
I love that story.
Yeah.
I feel a little bad for the scientist guy. Like, what a boring way to live your life, not believing in something greater than us, moving the hands and telling us secrets.
I don't feel so bad for him. He'll wake up one day when he goes in his own coma.
Yeah.
I think
He's like, oh, shoot.
I think it was just science, Jess. That's all I think.
Yeah, I'm just over here burning my sage, believing in all the magic. So whatever.
No, that's all right. You'll live a good life. The science guy, not so much. That's all right, though. Look at me being all believer. Our next story has to do with the mystery of the Mary Celeste ghost ship, which may have finally been solved. According to this, the infamous vessel was found adrift and deserted in 1872, sparking a mystery that would endure for over 150 years. It was discovered in the waters of the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean on December 4th of that year. The Mary Celeste, a merchant brigantine, was the focus of a mystery that remained a topic of heated debate to this day. The vessel was found adrift and abandoned under partial sail and with one of its lifeboats missing. There was absolutely no sign of any of the crew and no indication of what might have happened to prompt them to abandon ship that was, at the time of its discovery, still perfectly seaworthy. Entries found in the ship's log indicated that it had left New York City for Genoa on November 7th, with the last log entry being 10 days before the ship was found. There had been a plentiful supply of food and provisions on board, and even the cargo was found intact. Now, though, after more than a century of speculation, researchers believe that they have been able to confirm what is thought to be the most likely reason that the crew had abandoned ship. The Mary Celeste had been carrying 1,700 barrels of pure alcohol at the time. When the ship was searched after its discovery, it was found that 9 of the barrels were empty. This prompted the theory that the barrels had leaked, filling the hold with flammable vapors that eventually ignited and caused a violent explosion. Upon witnessing this, the crew most likely abandoned ship in fear of their lives. To demonstrate that this is what happened, researchers conducted an experiment in which they triggered an identical ethanol explosion on a scale model of the ship. Just like on the real ship, there was no evidence of an explosion after the fact, and it did not set fire to the other barrels of alcohol. This means that the ethanol leak theory is most likely the explanation to what happened to the crew. So, boom, ethanol explosion.
Not unlike a nuclear explosion, right?
Well,
of that day.
I mean, you know, I don't know that there are any nukes aboard the Mary Celeste, but yeah, but
well, they didn't have them back then. That was the closest they could get.
Right. Or a SpaceX explosion in which no one would survive.
Wait, did Elon make that ship?
Maybe it was Elon's great grandfather who made that ship.
I think there's a tie.
There could be. Our next story has to do with a 1950 CIA document which hints of a mysterious temple under the Sphinx. Eagle-eyed investigators have identified a peculiar reference to something that may be hidden under the iconic statue. Back in the 1930s, American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce claimed to have knowledge of a secret chamber buried deep beneath the Giza Plateau. a hall of records containing scrolls, maps, and artifacts relating to ancient knowledge and a long-lost civilization. Theories concerning this hidden vault have been debated for decades, though to date, no definitive evidence of such a room has ever been found. Now, though, a tantalizing new clue has been discovered buried deep in the CIA's files, hidden within a 10-page document from 1952 entitled Presentation Form for Graphic Material. There exists an obscure reference to what the CIA described as a temple under the Sphinx. So could this mean that the enigmatic Hall of Records was found decades ago? Well, today most Egyptologists remain highly skeptical that such a chamber actually exists. The Sphinx has been thoroughly excavated, said archaeologist Zahi Hawass. My friend and colleague Mark Lehner and I investigated it ourselves in 1979. Nothing like a Hall of Records has been found in or near the Sphinx. Some researchers have discovered what are thought to be hidden voids beneath the Giza Plateau in recent years, though these remain highly contentious and open to interpretation. As things stand, it is certainly not impossible that something could still be hidden down there. Whether or not we ever know for sure, however, is another matter entirely. Well, you could know for sure if you either drilled down there, for one, or two, if you even took and did LiDAR and tried to find something down there.
It seems like in modern times, we have ways of figuring this out.
Sure. Absolutely. There's absolutely a way of knowing for sure. But it's a matter of, how aggressive you are with it, right? You gotta get to know somehow as to what if anything is down there, whether it be burial chamber or Hall of Records or whatever. And do we really need to know?
Right. That's the other thing. If we do something that, damages the integrity of the structure and then we ruin it because we can't stand not knowing, maybe it's just best if we leave it alone.
Right. Absolutely. I think at this point, I had mentioned yesterday, we had some, before we get to many more stories here, because we're getting towards the end of the program here. We have just a few more stories left. I had mentioned yesterday we had some prayer and healing requests for a couple of listeners, and I wanted to get to that before we do anything else. I didn't want to leave it for the end of the program. William O'Sara Wilson, got a hold of me on my social media this week. He's got some issues with his feet. He's got a really painful blister from his ankle braces and is likely headed for short-term disability. They've given him some medication for it, although he could be in danger of losing his job because of this. He has no PTO left. So if you guys could send out some prayers to William Wilson, it'd be greatly appreciated. Again, prayers, energy, good thoughts, whatever you have for William Wilson. And these sores are huge, Jess. I mean, I can send you the picture or I can show you the picture that William sent me.
Oh, William, that looks so painful.
It's a painful sore, folks. So it's wide open. It's a wide open sore, and William's in some deep danger here, folks. So if you can, please send William your prayers, your thoughts, your healing, so that he can get healed up. He is on an antibiotic. He's got, it takes a while to heal these things up. I know personally from having open sores, open wounds on feet, diabetic feet. It's tough. It's tough to get healed up. So if you can send him your prayers and healing requests, it'd be grateful. And your prayers and healing and your good thoughts and whatnot. Also, Joe writes in. He's got a couple of people that need help. Janine Buffington in New York has ovarian cancer and went into remission for 2 years, and now it's back. So Janine Buffington needs your prayers, your healing, your good thoughts. Also, Pam Stern of Yonkers, New York, has end-stage renal failure and open wounds on the bottom of her feet. So she needs prayer, healing, and good thoughts as well. So again, Janine Buffington of New York and Pam Stern of Yonkers, New York, both of them need your prayer and healing and good thoughts as well. So if you could keep all three of those people in your thoughts and prayers and get some healing out to them, it'd be greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, folks. Appreciate that. And I'll put it on our social media as well, so that you can refer back to that and keep each one of those fine folks in your nightly prayer rituals and healing rituals. So.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in the power of all of that, whether you're a person who prays or you just think of people and wrap them up in good energy. I mean, there's a lot of support to that fact that it works.
Yeah.
So,
and it's personally helped me. It's personally helped me through some dark times in the hospital. I mean, I've documented it here on the show. I mean, I've been near death in the hospital, and you guys have helped me through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully believe it's been because you guys have been behind me. So if you could help these fine people get through their tough times, it's greatly appreciated. So,
yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Killer seaweed has caused a spate of deaths along the French coastline. Another reason not to go in the water this summer.
What?
Yeah.
I'm already scared of sharks. Now the seaweed's going to kill me?
I guess. Only if you're on the coastline of Brittany and France. Unsuspecting animals and even members of the public have succumbed to the noxious green carpet, it says here. Noxious green carpet sounds like, I'm not going to go over the joke. I had a great, horrible joke there, but.
Don't say it. I already know what you're thinking.
I'll digress. Although I will say she was a punk rocker I dated in college.
Oh, no. Do they just get trapped in it? And then is it like some sort of macabre, horrific, green...
Oh, it's seaweed. I'll tell you about it here in a second.
Trap of humanity? Like there's just dead bodies stuck in there?
Oh, no. The coastline,
that's what I'm envisioning.
The coastline of Brittany in France is a picturesque destination with seemingly little in the way of imminent risk, yet all across its beaches at certain times of the year, there lies a deadly threat that has claimed the lives of several people, while posing a scientific mystery that researchers long struggled to solve. The culprit is this, Jess. It is Ulva armoricana, which is a type of seaweed which, due to high levels of nitrates in the water, which is a consequence of local farming, in other words, they drop their crap in the water, it creates a thick carpet stretching over a large area of coastline. While this might not seem to be problematic in and of itself, this particular seaweed has been found to release large amounts of hydrogen sulfide, which is a foul-smelling gas that can overpower and even kill. Over the decades, several deaths have been connected to this phenomenon, with unwary beachgoers ending up being overwhelmed by the gas before being found deceased on the shoreline. So it's a mixture type combination.
I know.
The same fate has also befallen a number of animals, including wild boar and horses. Among the seaweed's victims are some of those tasked with removing it. Along an arduous process involved driving a tractor down to the beach, loading it up with seaweed and carting it away. The situation has also long been politically charged, with groups blaming one or another. Farmers arguing that they are being unfairly held responsible, and politicians promising solutions that never materialize. As things stand, the beaches of Brittany are still a risk due to the seemingly unstoppable encroachment of the seaweed. In some places, there's so much of it that it measures several feet in thickness. Unless a solution can be found, it is likely to remain a problem for many years to come. So it's a combination deal. It's a combo platter. You've got the seaweed. You also have the fact that there's lack of a better term, being a farm girl, there's crap being thrown into the water. You combine that, you get the sulfide that mixes, and that's what's killing, that's what's killing town folk, right?
Scary. I mean, it's less terrifying than what I was envisioning, like the Jeepers Creepers bodies sewn into the wall.
Oh, yeah.
You can envision that. But yeah, that's we do to ourselves.
Yeah, but it's an airborne toxide.
Yeah, you just
so
breathe it in.
Yeah, that's all it can take.
Scary.
You can just breathe it in and it'll kill you. Yeah.
So taking that off my vacation bucket list.
Yeah, I guess you won't be going to Brittany, France this year. Yeah.
No.
Well, one less place to go.
I was totally planning on it before, so thanks for warning me.
Well, now you can cancel your tickets to Brittany. There you go. Speaking of, I won't be seeing Britney Spears either, I guess, this summer. Unless I'd like her to be my sushi chef.
All the Britneys are off the list this year.
That's right, yeah. Unless I see her at my local Benihana, then as a new occupation is onion chef. That's a knife joke, folks. If you're not up on the Brit drama lately,
it just never ends with that poor girl. I feel so bad for her. I feel like we ruined her with celebrity.
Who's we?
Once
I'm
again.
only partially French.
The society and the world.
Yes. Well, I didn't do anything to her. Blame Timberlake. I didn't do anything to her.
Well, it's always Timberlake's fault.
It really is if you read the book.
I mean, such a troublemaker.
Yeah, he is. Yep. Although I only met him the one time. It was a 2-minute meeting. Our next story.
That's what she said.
That's what she's. See, I see what you did there. That's excellent. Excellent joke. Actually, it's probably less than 2 minutes. People may pretend to believe in conspiracy theories. According to this new study, some people who champion weird conspiracy theories may not actually believe in them at all. According to the new study. So they may be like, yeah, man, I totally believe it was the mafia and the government and the Cubans that all killed Kennedy together. They may be like, no, it was Lee Harvey Oswald when they get behind closed doors.
They're just trying to get people all fired up. Is that it?
Yep. Get them all fired
Weird.
up. We've certainly seen more than a few downright bizarre conspiracies over the years, ranging from the ever-popular flat earth theory, which gets everybody riled up when you mention it on air, to the idea that birds don't actually exist, which is a weird theory. I don't get...
Which birds? I've never heard that one.
We tackled that years ago on this show, and that show got people pissed off. The fact that there's no such thing as birds and they're all just like little machines.
No, don't tell me that.
Yeah. And that they're little spy machines, and people just lost their mind.
Yeah, that's a bridge too far for me, Tim.
Most people just. But when someone claims to subscribe to such a conspiracy, are they actually being sincere, or are they just claiming to do so out of sheer devilment? Well, recently, researchers investigating this phenomenon noted that research into conspiracy theories dating back many years might have been heavily skewed all along due to people essentially trolling the poll results by claiming to believe in conspiracies that are objectively nonsensical. A particularly egregious example of this was highlighted for the study. Saw survey participants in Australia asked back in 2024 how likely it was that various conspiracies were real. The researchers had put in one or two that they had made up themselves, conspiracies that were so utterly bizarre that nobody in their right mind could have ever legitimately championed them. When the results came in, they discovered that a significant number of people had voted to state that one conspiracy in particular, which suggested that the Canadian Armed Forces had been developing a secret army of genetically modified raccoons to invade other countries, was true.
My goodness.
I can't believe anybody would have backed that one. The conclusion from this was that when asked about conspiracies, members of the public would often say that they believed in them, something that they clearly didn't. That raises the question just how many people genuinely believe that the Earth is flat, or that humans never walked on the moon, or any of the other long-running conspiratorial claims. It also raises questions over the role conspiracies play during the coronavirus pandemic. Clearly, there's a lot more to belief or feigned belief in conspiracy theories than meets the eye. I don't know. I think a lot of people just go along with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're too polite to say they disagree. And so they're just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll roll with it. Why not?
Raccoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, raccoons invading. Sure, why not?
I mean, why not? I don't know. I have a theory about the Earth being flat. I think it's an octagon. I think we're all right. It has flat planes. And why can't we all be right? It's an octagon, obviously. There's flat places and it's shaped kind of like circles. So there you go.
I think you're trolling now.
Everybody wins.
Yeah. See, I think you're trolling.
New conspiracy theory.
I think you're totally trolling right now. There's this story I've been meaning to get to for a couple of weeks, and I just haven't gotten to it. I think I'll finally get to it this week. There's a mystery out there as urban birds seem to be more scared of women than men.
Really? I mean, we are bad bitches, so.
I've noticed this with the birds in my own yard. They fly away when intern Yoko comes out.
Yeah.
They stay around when I'm out.
They feel our feminine energy and it's terrifying to them.
I guess.
They know we're the most dominant, powerful creature on earth.
It may be sensing, don't take this wrong, but it may be a mood thing.
A mood thing?
Yeah.
They don't like my butt when I moon?
No, not moon. Mood.
Oh.
M-O-O-D. Mood.
Mood. Oh.
Mood.
I'm always in a good mood, Tim.
Well, it's an emotional thing. You know,
yeah.
Men tend to be more, don't get this isn't a stereotype.
Oh, you're walking a very dangerous line, sir.
I know. But no, we're on different vibrational paths. Men tend to be on a more lower vibrational path. Women tend to be on a higher vibrational path, right?
Yeah, fair. We're more high vibe than you. It's true.
Right. So
yeah,
I think animals are more comfortable on a lower vibrational, being able to hang out on a lower vibrational path. And when they see someone with a higher vibration, it shocks them and they fly away. They can hang around a higher vibration if they get warmed up to it. But they can fly up to a post and land on it. In other words, they can fly up to a man and land on it because to them, it's practically...
Man's like a post.
Yeah, it's practically brain dead.
Well, I am completely unoffended by your theory. I like it.
So to me, I think that's about as much as I can relate to it.
It's true, though. My husband's like the bird man. Like, it's weird. He can just go out there and feed them, and they all come flocking around, and they're not afraid of him.
Yeah, and I think it's because men have a calmer vibration, a lower vibration.
Yeah, just a more flat.
It's flat, exactly.
A more grounded. How about a more grounded vibration?
That's fine. Yeah, you can say
more
that.
Earthy.
Yeah. Because I'm that way with my birds. In fact, I have this recording from this past week, and I don't have to play it or anything, but at one point I went outside and it was quiet when I first walked outside. And then all of a sudden, 5 different species of birds. I have this bird app on my phone that identifies what birds are speaking at the time. 5 different species of birds started speaking like they were all saying hello at the same time. And I recorded it because it was beautiful. Like all of them started singing at the same time.
I love that.
But yeah, it was just, but I wanted to see who all was out, right? What different species were out. There was a Tennessee warbler out. I don't know what a Tennessee warbler is, but I also wanted to see if Tweety and Steeler were out. My American goldfinches were out, and they were out and they were singing. And I have a cardinal that shows up every time I'm out now too. So I wanted to see if my cardinal was out. So I put on my little app to see who was all singing at me. And there were 5 different species that all of a sudden showed up and they all start singing. Well, I think they're all singing because they're like, hey, the fat guy's out. He's got food. I think that's what they're all yelling at each other. They're probably all like, hey, look, fat guy's out. He's got food, which is probably all that's going on. They're all like, that's probably all it is in bird language.
I don't know. I feel like birds in those situations can also be like a sign from our loved ones who have passed. So when you're telling me that, it feels almost like spirits coming around you and showing you love. I really think that cardinal is something special.
Or when it's all of them like that, it's pretty simple. It's probably all, hey, fat guy's out. He's got food.
I like my theory better, but all right, we'll go with yours.
I really do think it's a simpler deal there, and at that point,
I feel like whoever wrote the Cinderella story got it all wrong. Like Cinderella should have been a dude.
Oh, I agree with you there. Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Should have been Cinderfella, and you should have been coming out with sunflower
Cinderella.
seeds. And, yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and they would have got it exactly right.
We should make that live action Cinderella starring Tim Dennis.
And I'm just carrying around a jug of seeds. They'll show up. I'm telling you, it's a true story.
Yeah, and all the birds come flying, flocking, singing your song.
I can call most of them and tell them that it's lunchtime, and they come out of the tree. Just because
animals are smart.
They are. They're pretty smart.
When you have a very calm energy, you really do.
Oh, it's because half the time I'm drugged up, but it's again, I'm a post. So if it's not pain meds, it's cold medication. Anyways, I digress. This new research has discovered that birds we commonly see in towns and cities are more scared of human females. We'll find out why here in a second. Probably because they've been in some of the relationships I've been in. The peculiar phenomena came to light following a new study by an international team of researchers who looked at how common urban birds reacted to being approached by different subjects. The research, which involved having male and female participants approach multiple different bird species in live European countries, found striking consistency in the animal's reaction. In total, 37 species, including pigeons, sparrows, and blackbirds, were tested. The findings clearly showed that birds flew away more quickly when approached by a woman as when approached by a man, even when the participants were of a consistent height and wore the same clothes. As things stand, nobody can actually figure out why this would be the case. A few possibilities have been suggested, such as the birds are being more sensitive to female pheromones, but this remains entirely speculative. I fully believe our results that urban birds react differently based on the sex of the person approaching them, but I can't explain them right now, said study co-author Professor Daniel Blumstein from the University of California, Los Angeles. We used bleeding edge comparative analysis techniques to show our findings and that they were consistent across cities and species, but we simply don't have a conclusive explanation as of yet. I honestly want to believe it has something to do with vibration. They sense vibration.
Yeah. I think that's a good theory, honestly.
Yeah. All right. I told you before, and this is our last story for the day before we get to our palate cleanser, that a man was once convicted of biting a policeman with someone else's teeth.
Trying to wrap my brain around the logistics of this story. Can't wait to hear it.
The BBC recently unearthed the peculiar tale of a man who was imprisoned for biting a policeman, even though he didn't. Sinking your teeth into a member of law enforcement is certainly not a good idea if you value your freedom, yet one Shropshire man, the law and the truth were not always aligned. The incident in question took place in 1990 during a violent riot that had ensued as a result of the poll tax, in an extremely unpopular taxation introduced at the time by Margaret Thatcher's government. Alistair Mitchell had found himself trapped inside Whitehall during a riot and had observed multiple policemen arresting other protesters, often in an overly rough or dangerous way. When he noticed officers grabbing a man around the throat, he called out, but quickly found himself being arrested after two policemen heard him shout and made straight for him. One of them said, "Book this one for obstruction and assault on me," he recalled. Incredibly, he ended up being arrested and charged for biting a police officer, something he had definitely not, that had definitely not actually happened. Even when his defense team was able to show that the bite mark did not match Mitchell's teeth, he was still found guilty and ultimately spent years in prison for something he hadn't done. Eventually, though, he was able to have the conviction overturned and was released. He was so impacted by this experience that he became a barrister and represented other victims of legal injustice for many years. Sadly, he died at the age of just 61 in 2019. His gravestone reads, "The only man in British history to be convicted of biting a policeman with someone else's teeth."
That's crazy.
Someone else's teeth.
Oh, what a wild one.
Exactly. All right, so our palate cleanser for today, Jess, is about striving to reach a dream, falling short, and getting into potential trouble for it.
Okay.
All right? People who have higher goals or something to that effect.
Yeah. Okay.
Striving to reach that dream, falling short, and getting caught for it. All right? We'll start first with a 14-year-old boy who stole a bus and drove 300 kilometers before being arrested in what is now his third suspected joyride.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, buddy, we got to have a talk.
Well, and why buses? I mean, there's so many other things.
I know. It's so big. How do you drive it?
That's what she said.
I knew you were going to.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out of my mouth.
That's what she said again. Police intercepted a stolen bus after drivers reported erratic driving by someone who looked like a child, after later confirming that a 14-year-old had been driving it for more than 300 kilometers. Police stopped a stolen bus after drivers reported erratic driving by someone who looked far too young to be behind the wheel. Police intercepted the vehicle and brought it to a halt early this past Sunday morning. The bus, who had no passengers on board, had traveled more than 300 kilometers from Oslo, Norway, and was headed towards Kristiansand and along the E18 motorway. Police said the first calls came in at around 5:40 a.m. about a bus heading west. Operations manager Ronnie Tigen Anderson confirmed the driver was a 14-year-old boy who has since been placed in the care of police and child welfare services. The bus was later removed by tow truck, and the operator was notified. Officers then confirmed the same teenager is suspected of being behind two earlier bus thefts. Euroweekly News reported in April that he allegedly stolen a bus from the Oslo region into Sweden, where police stopped it near, I believe this is Stenungsund, after GPS tracking showed it was passing Uddevalla toward Gothenburg. In November, he was reported to have taken another bus in Stavanger and driven it another 3 hours around Sandnes and the Ryfast area before returning it. Police have reportedly described the latest incident as extremely serious, warning of the dangers posed by a child driving a large vehicle in normal traffic. Eastern Police District Operations Manager Rune Isaacson reportedly said officers viewed the repeat offenses with grave concern, while Anderson said other road users in the Grimstad area were alarmed by the driving and by the driver's apparent age. Earlier this year, a joyrider led police on a wild chase in an Asda delivery van. 30-year-old Shane Brett nicked the vehicle from the warehouse in Eastbourne, Sussex, early in the morning on January 30th this year. He then drove around for an hour, covering 16 miles before he was stopped in New Haven. Footage showed officers bringing the van to a halt and arresting Brett. I think this kid with the buses is the same kid we were reading about on True Crime Tuesday who was driving to go see his girlfriend.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
Who got busted last month.
So he just needed to get to his girl. Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Hormones are a wild thing
They're-
when you're that age.
They're a dangerous thing, right? Desperation creates bedwetters or bedfellows, one or the other. I don't remember which. But by gosh, they get there one way or another. Our second thief had all good intentions. Sometimes hunger creates necessity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Police were probing barbecue goods theft and found an unusual thief. So there were some barbecue goods that were missing, and they found the culprit. Allow me, Jess, to introduce you to the culprit.
Oh, he's such a cute little thief.
It's a fox with a mouthful of hot dogs. You can't blame him. He's hungry.
That has to be on like a greeting card or something. That's the cutest picture ever.
It is. We're going to Alberta, Canada, where police in Alberta responded to a report of a theft involving barbecue goods and arrived to find a red fox with a mouthful of hot dogs. The little guy was hungry. The Alberta Royal Canadian Mounted Police said on social media that officers responded to the location in Crow's Nest Pass on Monday in search of a suspect described as having red hair, being short in stature, and wearing a thick coat. That's pretty accurate. After a brief investigation, the suspect was located attempting to conceal the evidence nearby. The Post said the RCMP shared a photo of the thieving fox with its mouth filled with hot dogs. The suspect was released without conditions, and he also had a full belly. Officials wrote.
He was having a good day.
Yeah, he was. An excellent day. Probably one of the best days of his life.
If you're a fox and you can get a mouthful of hot dogs, it's a hell of a day.
That's right. It's a red letter day for that red fox. That's for sure. And that's how we end Supernatural News today.
I loved this episode.
Yeah. Good episode today. All right, Jess, what is new in your world?
Just chasing some book deadlines, Tim. Trying to get them done.
Have you caught them?
Getting close.
Getting close. Oh.
I will have 3 coming out in August, though. That's going to come up before we know it.
They all come out in August?
Yeah. You know how they do it, Got to keep Bender on his toes. One of them, I'm excited about all of them. First of all, because 2 of them are our final monster books. So we've done the whole United States for Monster Legends when these 2 come out. And then the third one is a book about witches of New England.
Wow.
Which I'm super stoked about.
Well, we'll have to have you both on the program when all 60 books come out in August. I mean, that may have to be a week-long show. It just starts, you just start the show on Monday and it'll wrap up sometime on Friday night.
Yeah. I get a little stressed when I do interviews now about the monster books because we've done so many. I'm like, tell me what monster we're talking about so I can remember the details about that particular story. Some of them stand out, though, like the one with the pants in California. That'll be in one of the books coming out, the Fresno Night Stalker, I think it's called.
Yeah. You don't send out, you haven't done the thing now that the, how do I put this? That the Hi Mucky Muck authors do, where they send out the sample questions with their press
I will
release.
talk about this, and I only want red and purple Skittles. Thank you.
Well, not getting that, not getting that elite, but just the you send out your bio and it's your bio and the book description, and then at the bottom you've got 25 sample questions. The ones that the ones who won't read your book, the hosts that won't read your book will look at the cheat questions and they'll ask you, they'll sit down to do the interview and they'll go, "Hi, Jess. So Tell me a little bit about, and they'll read the question verbatim right off the question sheet.
Yeah.
So you know exactly where the interview is going because they didn't read the book, they didn't prep, and they'll just read your questions back to you.
I've definitely had people who've had me on and not read the book, and you can always tell. Or can we just have fun talking about monster stuff and paranormal things? So it ends up to be all right.
The one thing I love hearing from every author I have on the program is I really love that you took the time to read my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell. Yeah, you do. You prep for and that's why your interviews with authors are so good. I'm not just saying this because I'm looking at your adorable face telling you this. Your
Aw.
author interviews are so good because you read the book and you care.
Oh, that's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to get the reaction at the end of the interview of you read the book.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
actually read it, which honestly makes me want to buy more. I have literally, I'm not even joking. I have so many books on this bookshelf from interviews you've done with authors because your interviews are so good. And I'm like, well, now I have to read it.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. This past Tuesday, True Crime Tuesday, the Curse of the Blumenthals. One of the things I found most intriguing about the book, and not just the case itself, but there's 3 excellent recipes in that book.
I love that.
Old Jewish recipes. There's one for strudel. There's one for brisket. Oh, that brisket recipe. I want to try it so bad. I'm trying to remember what the third one was. But yeah, there's 3 excellent old world Jewish recipes in there. And I'm like,
I'm telling you, we could totally do like a little cooking segment sometime, like a Facebook Live or something.
I know. But I'm going to send that brisket recipe to my nephew because he just got a smoker. He just bought a smoker and he's putting everything on that smoker. I swear to God, he's putting his son's baby formula on the smoker just to see if he likes it. He gave Bennett, Bennett is, what is he, 7 or 8 months now? He sent a video of Bennett eating a little bit of steak off the smoker. That kid, you'd have thought he introduced a little bit of manna from heaven to that kid because he's chewing away on it going, and just having a good old time with it. But yeah, so I'm thinking I'm sending Ty that recipe for brisket.
You should, and then report back. Make sure he invites you over for dinner so you can try it, and then report back.
And then report back. Yes, I will, because that recipe looked amazing. So, and I told our guests too that I was going to do that. I was going to send that to the nephew. Yep. So, I mean, when I give you guys little tidbits like that in an interview, there's a reason. You know.
Yeah.
There's a reason because I found a little bit of gold for you for you to check out.
Like a leprechaun at the end of the rainbow.
That's right. Fishing out a bit of gold for you to check out. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I have going on.
Nice. All right. Tomorrow on the big show, we are talking about the little bit of gold that's been given us by the government. Not much, mind you, but just a bit. From Disclosure. We're also going to talk a bit about moon missions, Mars missions, and others with our guest Mike Ricksecker from Ancient Aliens. Mike has been gracious enough to come back on the program. Mike was also at Parapsychon this last weekend at Ohio State Ohio State Reformatory University. Yes, he was at the Ohio State University. At Ohio State Reformatory. And he has his own speaking engagement coming up in June. We'll tell you where you can find him in June. And we're gonna chop this up a little bit with Mike and talk about where his perspective is with all this and what the government is doing for us and what it's not doing for us, how they could do better. So that's all coming up tomorrow on the big program. And are they deceiving us? We're going to go that far. Are we being deceived by all this? So that's all coming up on tomorrow's show.
I like it.
Yeah. So that is tomorrow on the big program. A couple of things before we leave you today. One, the app. Make sure it's updated, the Darkness Radio app for Apple products. Make sure you've got that updated with everything that's going on. Two, if you'd like to support the program, be sure to get your True Crime Tuesday or Darkness Radio swag, darknessradioshow.com, and click on the shop tab and go ahead and shop away. All the proceeds from that go to support the show. Let's see here. And three, we need your Parashare stories. Send them in right here to the program, tim@darknessradio.com, or go to the website, darknessradioshow.com, if you want to submit an audio note that we can air here on the program. Or if you have a studio like the ones that Jess and I are in, if you want to cut a video for us that we can air on video, you can do that and set it into tim@darknessradio.com. I think that's it for the week, Jess. And I tell you what, we'll leave you today. And again, join us tomorrow for Mike Ricksecker and Disclosure and Government Deception. Right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. We'll see you tomorrow, right here on Darkness Radio.